So we're going to talk about some of the databases you can use to find sources, but also how to use the tools in those databases to save your searches, create search alerts, publication alerts, things like that. So we'll go ahead and get started. Interlibrary Loan is something that you might already be familiar with at this point. Essentially what it allows you to do is to request to borrow materials from other libraries. In your cases, you'll more than likely be finding journal articles. While we have quite a few journal articles, there are quite a lot that we don't have. So you can request those articles through Interlibrary Loan. The easiest way to do this is to go into WorldCat Discovery, put the title of the article in the search bar. The easiest way to do this is to go to Advanced Search, change your search index to title, put in the title of the work, but make sure you put it into quotations and then click search. So I will go ahead and demonstrate that now. So yeah, you want to change that to title. Then you want to put the title of the work in the search bar. You want to go ahead and hit search. You want to go ahead and click on the title of the work. And then now you can just request the item through Interlibrary Loan. So now all you have to do is just put in a needed before date, your first name, your last name, your YHC card number. It's on the back of your card underneath the magnetic strip. It should be about 5 or 6 digit numbers in the bottom right hand corner, and then you want to put in your email address. You hit submit. The request comes to us, and then once we get a copy of the article, we will send that to you directly in your to your student email. So make sure you watch out for that. So one thing to kind of keep in mind is that using keywords are incredibly crucial. But you can also use keywords in more efficient ways in order to save the amount of actual searches that you end up doing. So for example, we have a couple of tools that you can use. There's one called nesting, which is really just the act of placing OR searches within AND searches. And as you can see, my little example up here. And you can also truncate words in order to find variations of those words by using an asterisk at the end of the root word. Something to remember, in this particular instance, the search terms that we truncated will more than likely find variations of these words in the context of the AND search that we initially put in. So for example, if we have neuroscience and brain and surge truncated or operat truncated, what we'll go ahead and do is, I'm just going to go ahead and type that in to WorldCat Discovery. Now, as we can see from our search results, we've got the word surgery, we've got operations, we've got surgical. Now, something to keep in mind is that we found these truncated words because we placed them again within our initial AND search. So if you were to just try to find surge or operat by itself, you'd probably be getting a lot of weird search results. But because we already defined our search parameters using neuroscience and brain, it's more than likely going to find search results with the truncated words of surge or operat, mainly surgery, surgeries, surgical, operation, operated, kind of things like that, right? One thing to keep in mind is that you can go ahead and use other databases and use these same tools in those databases. So what I mean by that is, so if we went to ProQuest here and put in those exact search terms, and I'm going to make sure I have full text and peer review checked off or checked on. So we get, again, it's the same underlying mechanics. So now, the reason why you want to think about other databases, especially subject-specific databases, is because they can help you find search results that may be a little bit more relevant to you. Now, a WorldCat discovery search would probably be sufficient, but it's good to be aware of the other tools. So one thing to kind of keep in mind is here we're using ProQuest Central, which is kind of like a database that has all the different ProQuest databases in it, right? So if I went ahead and clicked on this, and it gives me a list of included databases. So I'm going to go ahead and click Show All, and I'm going to go into the Health and Medical collection. Now I'm going to use the same search terms. Now, we've got quite a few search results, which is a good thing in our particular case, but now we can go ahead and refine from here, right? So if I wanted to just do it within a certain date range, I could. I'm going to go ahead and click on scholarly journals, although that's what most of our search results are. I will, full text and peer reviewed are already checked off. I'll update the date range here. I'll just do 2018 through 2021. I'll hit update. And as you can see, that dropped us down quite significantly because we've applied those filters. Now, you can actually save certain searches, right? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log into my research. Now, if you have not created an account, you would just simply select Create Account, create an account. And so, yeah, now I'm taken to my actual research. But before we even get here, I'm going to go back to our basic search here. One thing to keep in mind is you don't necessarily have to use advanced search to use all of your keywords and Boolean operators. You can use them all on the same search bar. However, the advanced search can give you more options for refining. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and hit search again. And so now I can actually do a couple of things here. I can actually go ahead and save my search. And I can just name it whatever I want to name it. Neuroscience. Now I can go to my saved searches. Now, as you can see, this is a search that I just created. Now I can do a couple of things. I can create an alert. And I'm just going to name it here. It's already got my email in there because that's mainly because I created my research account. And I can go ahead and either include search details or include highlighting if I wanted to. And I can get it from newly published documents only, or I can do newly added documents including historical items. But I'll just leave it as newly published documents. And I can do it either monthly, weekly, or daily. So I'm just going to leave it on monthly for 2 months, but I can go all the way up to a year if I wanted to. And if I wanted to, I could select Send Scheduled Alert even when no new documents match my search. But I can just go ahead and create the alert. And now what this will do is that every time that a new article is published and indexed into ProQuest Health and Medical Collection, I will get an alert based on the keywords that I used. Now, if you wanted to, you can go ahead and I'm just going to go back to my basic search here. And I'm going to hit search again. Now you can also create publication alerts. So if I went ahead and clicked on this article right here, I can go to All Options, and actually, I don't want that. I will go ahead and click on PLOS Biology, which is a journal publication, and I can create an alert. And anytime that PLOS Biology releases something into ProQuest, I will be notified. I can either select it to either when either citation abstract or full text is available, or only when full text is available. I'll just go ahead and select only when full text is available. I can add more notes. I can do up to a year if I wanted to, but I'll leave it with 6 months, and then I can create an alert. And now every time for the next 6 months that this journal publication publishes an article and is then released in ProQuest, I will get notified. This is really good for keeping up with new publications, especially if you've found a journal publication where you're finding a lot of really good journal articles from. It's really, really handy to use. I could also, actually, I'll go back to our article here, and I can save this search, or save this particular article, I should say, to my research. So I'm going to go ahead and save it under neuroscience, and now that will actually be saved to my folder. So if I go back up here, if I go to my little search person icon, and if I go to my saved documents, now it will, these are all the documents that I've saved. However, if I wanted to create a folder, I can do that. If I select, so I'm going to deselect this, but if I select that and add it to my folder, I can do that. Now I can either save it to neuroscience or create a new folder. So I'll just go ahead and create a new folder. I'll just say neuroscience 2. And I can leave that in my all document section, or I can save it to neuroscience as a subfolder, and I can hit save. And now I can actually go to manage folders, and now I've got all these folders. So I can either go into my folders and look at the documents that I've saved there. And as you can see, I've saved a couple. And yeah, so and now you can create folders, you can delete folders, you can place folders within folders, right? So if I went back to manage folders, I can go to move, and because these are already blanked out because they're already in my neuroscience folder, but let's say I wanted to move it to my autumn and tanzimab folder, I can do that. And so if I go ahead and click on autumn and tanzimab, so in this particular instance, it's just showing me the document that I saved in the autumn and tanzimab folder. But if I wanted to, I can go back up to my manage, or I'm sorry, go down to my manage folders. And if I go back into autumn and tanzimab, I'm sorry. So the one article that I saved is now in my neuroscience 2 folder, which is what I wanted to do. So you can add folders if you want to. You can just simply create a new folder. like that. Name your folder. Tell it where you want to place it. If you want to place it under all documents, you can, or if you want to move it to any one of these folders, you can. Hit save, and then you pretty much have it. So that's kind of a little bit about how you can save your searches and save your folders. If you go to EBSCOhost, for example, now the best way to get to EBSCOhost is if you go to Galileo, you can enter in a search term. I'll just do ADH. I'll hit full text only, hit search. And now if I go to if I'll click on that, now I can sign in up here. Now I already have an account, but if you just hit sign in, it will either do one or two things. It'll either allow you to make an account, or it will sign you in if you've already made an account. So I can go ahead and with this article save it to a folder. So I can just say add to folder. And I can save it under whatever I chose. So for now I'll just do my folder. And then if I click folder up here, you can see that I've saved it, right? So yeah, so in a nutshell, that's how that all works. Actually, it was this one, the prenatal and perinatal factors associated with ADHD risk in school children. So that's a little bit about how this works. You can also create new folders in here as well. You would just simply select which folder you wanted. If you want to leave it as its own standing folder, you can do that. Or if you want to save it within another folder, you can do that as well. You would just hit save after you name it, and then that's pretty much it. So in a nutshell, that's how you can at least make your searches a little bit more efficient and, save things that you need to save, right? If you don't necessarily want to save it to your computer. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you. So one thing to remember is I'm going to go back to a search, my basic search. And I'm going to go into hit search. Now one thing to remember is that ProQuest is really good about showing you how many times an article has been cited in a particular database. This one, for example, was cited by 54 other articles. So it's a pretty good indicator that it is a credible source, especially if it's been cited by other scholarly sources, right? But it also indicates too that the more times it's been cited in other sources, the older the article probably is. And that doesn't mean that it's a bad article or anything like that. It just means that it's been cited a lot and it's probably been around for a while. Also, pay attention to the reference list. Most articles in ProQuest especially will give you a list of references that they use. The higher the number of the references, again, that usually means that it's that it's done its research, right? That who's ever doing the paper did its research. So that's got, for example, 16 references. Now you can use these references to find other sources, and if they are findable in the database, you can just simply click on the source and it will take you to it. So remember, there are so many different tools you can use to find items that you need, right? And I just want you to be aware of that you don't always have to do a new search every time you want to find something. You can use the time cited feature or the references feature to find other articles that might be useful to your own research. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you ever have any questions about any of this stuff, please come and see us in the library. We really, really want to help you guys. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope this was helpful.